What's up guys, Evan Jarvis here. In today's video, you are going to learn why GTO is not the optimal strategy for most poker tournaments. You are going to learn some myths about scare cards, which used to be true but are no longer true, and why thinking about blockers and balance is a waste of your mental resources and your financial resources too. This is part 2 of a 3-part series, so if you haven't yet watched part 1, I invite you to do so that you can get the most out of this lesson. I've put a link in the video description so you can click it, check it out, watch that, and then come back here. And when you're all caught up to speed, you know what to do. Keep on watching. Let's get stacking.
Also, guys, I have to ask a very interesting question that once you start pondering is hard to forget. Should you invest in anything you don't know about? Do you think Warren Buffett doesn't know about the things he invests in? Do you think any successful investor just throws money in hoping for the best? No, that's not good investing. And all poker tournaments are investing games. That's it. If you don't know what to do, fold. And the math and analytics really back that up. Okay, guys, let's go into another situation. Get your thinking hat on. We're testing you again. In this hand, our hero opens on the button with King-Jack offsuit and the big blind calls. The flop comes and our opponent c-bets. I c-bet, the villain calls. So he checks to me, I bet, he calls. Sorry about that. This turn comes and he checks to me, and it's on me. What should we do? What should us, the heroes, do? And if you say B, you gotta say a percent. We got a lot of different questions in the chat. Why does it keep going to 27 and stopping? Nope, time is not up. Give you guys all a good set. Ryan is saying it's a good bluff card. A few people saying bet 60%. Some people saying bet 80%. Andrew says he's betting 70%. Adam says he's checking. Just letting you all know what I'm looking at. Oh, I see. So when I wave that there, it turns off. I see. This is indeed live, Michael. One more. I'm going to give you a couple and then I'm going to talk with you, okay? Peter says the ace hits us more. How about here? You raise pre-flop, c-bet the flop, get called, and you get this turn. So you raise pre-flop, c-bet this flop, get this turn. What do you want to do on this one? Quickly. Amish Sharma says 110% of the pot. Miguel says 40%. Jennifer says 70%. Peter says check. Whew, you guys are going fast. All right. Remember your answers, okay? We're gonna keep it going. All right. How about here? You raise pre-flop, big blind calls. The flop comes 7-4-3. You c-bet, he calls, turn is an ace. How about this one, gang? 30 seconds. Quick, be on your toes. Time to learn about poker. You showed up to work tonight. Let's work. We got a bunch of checks. We got a bunch of 70%. All over the map there. All right, and I appreciate when people say no idea. In this situation, if you said bet here, I regret to inform you that you are wrong. You hear this all the time, right? I am betting the ace on the turn because that's a scare card if he has a 10 or a 9. Again, that sounds nice, but without data, all you are is another person with an opinion. The truth is, tournament players hate folding pairs on the turn or river because most of them subconsciously think of this as monopoly money. You got to ask yourself, do you think he's folding 9-8 there? Sevens. I don't think he is. Most guys aren't. In fact, if you said bet anything normal on any one of these, I think you're wrong. Give credit where credit is due. Ami said overbet on this turn. That is a very interesting option because now a jack or queen is going to be very squeamish. And if they do anything, they're going to call, which means you still get a chance to hit a big card and win a big pot. So hats off to Ami. But if you said bet anything less than 100% of the pot, I do not like that because that is not folding out jacks or queens typically. It's one of those things, it sounds nice. The ace is in our range. We can represent it. Okay. No. You got to have data to back yourself up because a lot of things sound nice in poker and they're not true. You used to hear this all the time. Well, I called from the big blind. The board came 10-7-3. I checked and he bet. And I thought that hit his range. And it was just one of those, yeah, that sounds nice. I guess he has a lot of 10-9 suiteds, 9-8 suited, 7-8 suiteds and all that. But what data do I have to back that up? And sure enough, it doesn't stand up to scrutiny if you put it on Flopzilla. And in this one, even an overbet won't help you in this one. Because look, okay, aside from the Flopzilla analyses I'm about to show you, the reason for this is fairly basic, guys. If you look at any database on Earth, you'll usually see this. You'll notice in this section, I highlighted the average fold to c-bet is 48.7. Notice the average fold to turn c-bet is 28%. Notice the average fold to river c-bet is 20%. If I told you, on average, the guy's folding 28% of the time on the turn, do you want to bet those turns? What's interesting about that, let's remember this number again, okay, guys? 48.7. Remember this. What's interesting about that is if you look at the standard big blind calling range, you'll notice it has a pair or a draw 52.5% of the time. So I put a filter next to every pair or draw here under statistics. And what this is saying is that if we look at every flop in Flopzilla, we're going to hit a draw, an open-ended straight draw, a pair or better 52.5% of the time, which means they have a pair, they have a high card or worse 47.5% of the time. Does that look like a number you just saw? Doesn't that make a lot of sense? So about 47.5% of the time with the typical calling range from the big blind, which is where people call most of the time, they just have a high card or worse. And on average, people are folding 48.7. Isn't that interesting how that lines up? But what we can see from the data, and you'll see this in every database on Earth, is on average, I'm not saying there aren't outliers, but on average, once a guy calls you, he is not folding. With his high cards, he is folding. Once he calls you, he has a pair. And once he is tasked with the responsibility of folding a pair, two bets composed of monopoly money, he is failing. He is only folding 28% of the time on the turn, which means he's calling 72% of the time, which is more than 7 times out of 10. He's calling you on the river almost 8 times out of 10. Guys, if you bet half the pot as a bluff, how often does that need to work? 33% of the time. Well, they're only folding 28% of the time on the turn and 20% of the time on the river, so on neither of those streets will that bet work. Interestingly enough, guys, I put a bunch of profitable regulars up on this board. What do you notice about their fold on the turn and river percentages? Way higher, right? That's because they know the first item we discussed in this webinar. You can bluff some very good regulars, but there's not many of them. Generally, people are calling down. People like to call with their pairs on the flop, and they don't like folding them on the flop or turn. It sounds nice to say, oh, I bet because an overcard came to his range, or because I had blockers, but most databases show that doesn't work. It's only when you get to higher stakes that becomes an issue. Hell, in most World Poker Tour events, you still see guys calling too much on the river. This really carries through most places, especially in Baltimore. So our first two items are these. The 5 ways you destroy your tournament results. Number 1, calling down with weak top pairs and second pairs for no reason. I'm not saying you can never do it, but you need a damn good reason. And if you have no good reason, on average, know that people are really bad at double barrel and triple barrel bluffing. And number 2 is betting the turn and river as a bluff when people are just not really folding their pairs. So you'll notice both of these are just us seeking a high. It feels good to catch a guy bluffing, and if we're wrong, we can just muck our hand. It feels good to get a guy to fold to our multi-street bluff. But the truth is, we know deep down these plays don't work that often. Most guys are not capable of triple barrel bluffing, so it's not a good idea to call a guy down. Most people will not fold a pair when they only need to invest more Monopoly tournament money to see if they're right, so many of our multi-barrel bluffs will not work. Poker is fun to play as a game, and it's fun to seek these highs, but neither of these make much sense when we think about them within the context of us trying to make money. Okay, guys, another one. Get your thinking hats on. You open late in a tournament. You've been cruising into the money. The table has some regulars, but no one is trying to be Michael Mizrachi. So this is like a $250 tournament live. You're in the money, okay? And our online, this would be like a $50 tournament. Nobody's been the Michael Mizrachi, like just trying to take over the tournament. People are playing aggressive, they're playing good, but you haven't seen anything egregiously out of line. They're generally waiting their turn to play, even if the younger guys open more than we do. You open from under the gun +1 here at 1K, 2K to 5K while they're balancing tables. So it's a little bit more shorthanded. It comes around to one of the younger guys in the small blind, and he 3-bets you to 14K. What is your move? We got Rodney says call. Simon says fold. Larry says call. Miguel says call. What? There's a... All right. We got one raise. All right, guys. That's my timer is a little on the fritz today, but yeah, that's enough. Okay. All of the options are bad here. Every single one of them. And for that reason, you should accept the loss that has the least variance. It also doesn't make much sense if you think about it. Guys, this is the one stat. There is some variability to what I'm talking about recently. They're good things to keep in your mind and to play to when you just know nothing, which tends to be what happens in most poker tournaments. But this one is so solid, it's crazy. The average player 3-bets 6.6% of the time. And guys, I promise you, if we popped open the hood, we'd find out most of those 3-bets are all in jams. How often people 3-bet out of position deep in tournaments is lower than this percentage. But let's just say for a second, it's 6.6% of the time. What does that look like? Guys, let's say he has this wide range. So I'm giving him a couple bluffs here. I have 3 bluffs in there and a lot of aces you're even money with. I'm even giving you a hand you're slaughtering with 8-8. Now you'll notice to the right, you have about 44% against that optimal range. Is that what you want to stake your tournament on? Is that why you flew to the tournament? To get it in on a 44% shot? If you're playing Bonomo, be my guest. But if people are just going to call you from the big blind with any piece of crap hand, no. Wait. If people are just going to call you down with pairs, like we can see in these databases they're doing, there's no need to invest on this 44% shot. Also, guys, how many times do you really see a small blind player 3-bet call with pocket 8s now versus an under the gun +1 range with that stack size? If he doesn't have 8-8 there, which in my opinion he won't most of the time, your equity plummets to 41%. And oh my God, does it get worse once I remove the bluffs. And most guys don't have bluffs there. if he's never bluffing there, as many guys never do, it's terrible. All of this just goes to show you it's never really a great idea to move all in there or call, because that's so many of your chips in either instance that you're effectively risking your tournament. And you were never doing well against the typical range. In my opinion, most people would play this situation fine if they weren't trying to be perfect. The average guy knows this. If you don't know what you're investing in, then you shouldn't put money down. Do you think Warren Buffett invests in anything he doesn't understand intimately? But when they get to this situation, where they're not in love with any option and they don't really know what to do, they get so worried about possibly getting bluffed that they risk their entire tournament on a hope they're playing well. That's not good investing. That's not good thinking. And guys, for a little bit more future reference, this tends to be a young guy's downfall. You will see the young guy do the jam here, the move all in to see where he's at all the time. You will not see guys in their 40s or 50s do this nearly as much. It does happen, but this tends to be, if you are a young person listening to this, you need to know this is far more prevalent when I research you guys, this big leak. I don't know what to do. Oh my God, I can't raise fold nines. I would be so exploitable. Okay, I'm all in. Don't do that. So to recap, the 5 ways you destroy your tournament results so far: calling down with weak top pairs and second pairs for no reason, betting the turn and river as a bluff when pairs are really unlikely to fold, and that's mostly what he has, and moving all in to combat an unlikely 3-bet bluff. Just because you would bluff there does not mean he would do that. Do not project. This has been a preview for Master Tournament Poker in one class. If you enjoyed the subject matter of this presentation, if you enjoyed the way I come to my analysis in this presentation, if this sounds like the type of training you think would get your game to the next level, Master Tournament Poker in one class is the product for you. In this one, it is a complete out-the-box program to get you mastering tournaments. We discuss pre-flop raising, 3-betting, 4-betting, cold calling, blind defense, how to play each stage of a tournament, flops, turns, rivers, ICM. There's tons of reference materials. There's several videos that will guide you through it. Not a minute is wasted.
And that wraps up this part of the training series. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned a lot from it. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up to let me know how I'm doing. And if you learned something from this video, please let me know in the comments what your key takeaway or your biggest aha moment from watching this video was. I promise you, if you do that and then look at the other comments that are there, you're going to learn a whole lot more. This is the beauty of YouTube. This is the beauty of community. This is how we grow as a team, by sharing our insights, reading what others' insights were, and engaging in discussion to further develop those thought processes. I really hope you're enjoying this learning series. And when you're ready to watch more training lessons like this one, feel free to check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Gripst, or come by my website, www.gripst.com, and join Team Gripst for exclusive discounts, offers, and training opportunities. We got a whole lot of good ones coming on the way, and I hope that you are someone I will be getting to share them with. Let's get stacking. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it educational and entertaining. If you want to join Team Gripst, click on that subscribe button and tap that bell to be notified every time a new video goes live. For behind the scenes updates and motivational quotes from my poker journey, follow me on Instagram. And when you're ready to take one step closer to becoming poker's next champion, click on me in 3, 2, 1, and let's get stacking.